On September 29, 2025, China's People's Liberation Army Rocket Force carried out a successful test launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile. Military analysts quickly identified it as a variant from the Dongfang 31 family, most likely the advanced DF-31AG model. Chinese officials described the event as part of routine annual training, but it drew global attention for showcasing improvements in the country's long-range nuclear capabilities. This was the second full-range test over the Pacific in 44 years, following a similar launch in September 2024. The Dongfang 31 series is an important part of China's modern nuclear arsenal. Known simply as DF-31, it translates to East Wind 31 in English. This missile represents China's third generation of solid-fueled, road-mobile intercontinental ballistic missiles. It entered service in the late 1990s and has evolved through several upgrades to counter threats from missile defenses, particularly those developed by the United States. Unlike older liquid-fueled missiles, the DF-31 uses solid fuel, which allows for a rapid launch within minutes, making it much harder for enemies to detect and strike before it fires. China maintains three main types of intercontinental ballistic missiles in its arsenal. The DF-31 is one of them, alongside the older DF-5, which first became operational in the early 1970s, and the newer DF-41. The standard DF-31 is a three-stage rocket that entered full service in 2006. It can carry a single warhead or a payload with 3 or 4 smaller warheads known as multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles. These smaller warheads can separate in flight to strike different targets simultaneously. Within the DF-31 family, several variants stand out. The original DF-31A has a range of about 11,000 kilometers or roughly 6,835 miles and typically carries a single warhead. The DF-31AG builds on this with greater mobility. It uses an 8-wheel by 8-wheel transporter erector launcher vehicle designed to navigate rough terrain like mountains or rural roads. This setup allows the missile to move quickly and hide in dispersed locations, complicating any attempt by adversaries to destroy it in a preemptive attack. The DF-31AG extends the range to over 11,200 kilometers or about 7,000 miles, enough to reach the continental United States from launch sites in China. It can carry a single nuclear warhead with a yield up to 1 megaton, or in future versions, multiple warheads. A newer edition, the DF-31BJ, appeared publicly for the first time during a military parade in Beijing on September 3, 2025. That event commemorated the 80th anniversary of Japan's surrender in World War II. The DF-31BJ is built for fixed silos underground, which boosts its survivability against surprise strikes. It also serves as a transport loader for China's growing network of missile silos, with more than 300 new ones detected since 2021. Overall, China deploys around 100 to 150 DF-31 missiles across these variants. Details from the September 29th test reveal its technical focus. The launch happened at dusk from a site near the coast, likely Hainan Island in the South China Sea. Videos captured a bright orange exhaust plume rising against an urban skyline dotted with streetlights, confirming the coastal location. Unlike typical intercontinental ballistic missile flights that arc high into space, peaking at over 1,000 kilometers altitude, this one followed a depressed trajectory. That means it stayed lower, under 500 kilometers high, which shortens the overall flight time to targets in the Asia-Pacific region, perhaps 20 to 30 minutes instead of 30 to 40 minutes. This path reduces the warning time for enemy radar systems and makes it tougher for defenses like the United States Terminal High Altitude Area Defense or Aegis ships. The missile carried a dummy warhead, a non-explosive mock-up used purely for testing delivery accuracy and systems. A major highlight was the integration of hypersonic boost glide technology. After the boost phase, the warhead separates, then glides at speeds over Mach 5, which is more than 3,800 miles per hour. It can maneuver during descent to dodge defenses. Video footage showed a shallow dive at the end of the ascent, a sign of this glide re-entry, similar to what China has tested in shorter-range missiles like the DF-17, but scaled up for intercontinental distances. The missile traveled about 12,000 kilometers or 7,460 miles, passing near the Philippines and Guam before splashing down in the Pacific Ocean close to the French territory of the Marquesas Islands. Expert noted that while the DF-31 already qualifies as an intercontinental ballistic missile, it had never before undergone a full-range launch test. This experiment aimed to refine its long-range strike potential. Chinese state media confirmed that all test parameters were met, stressing gains in speed and maneuverability for distant targets. Strategically, this launch aligns with China's no-first-use nuclear policy, which pledges never to initiate a nuclear attack. Yet it strengthens its second strike ability, ensuring it can retaliate effectively even after suffering a major assault. The DF-31AG's mobility and hypersonic features directly challenge United States' options for quick global strikes. The test came shortly after the September 3rd parade, which showcased China's full nuclear triad of land, sea, and air-based weapons, signaling an intent to match the capabilities of the United States and Russia. On a broader scale, China's nuclear forces are expanding rapidly, one of the fastest growth rates worldwide. A Pentagon report from last October estimated the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force had around 350 intercontinental ballistic missiles in 2022, with the number of launches doubling since then and still increasing. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute reported that China added 90 warheads to its stockpile last year, bringing the total to about 500. Projections suggest that within a decade, China's intercontinental ballistic missile count could surpass those of Russia and the United States, potentially exceeding 1,000 warheads by 2030 as silo fields and mobile units proliferate. Observers view this test with mixed reactions. Some see it as escalatory, heightening fears of a new arms race, especially amid tensions over United States military presence in the Indo-Pacific in the years ahead.